If you're like a majority of coaches, you're probably struggling with low engagement on your content, low bookings per week, low show, low close rates, and it's slowly suffocating you and or making you hate the model of coaching. But what if I told you that there was a better way, a better funnel that once implemented would skyrocket the efficiency of your business, a funnel that would increase your content engagement, call bookings, and show and close rates, better yet, a funnel that would even increase client success and retention? Well, that funnel does exist, and that is what my clients, and my 8-figure friends all use. It's probably not the funnel you're thinking of, like a ClickFunnels page or a webinar-specific kind of mechanism. It's actually the exact opposite. It's what I call the anti-funnel. Funnel that doesn't even require a landing page. Let me break this video down into 3 sections. Number 1 is what proper funnel architecture actually looks like. That's a tongue twister. Number 2, what you're misunderstanding and incorrectly applying into your business. Number 3, how to fix it. Starting with proper funnel architecture, let me set some context for you guys, a little bit of marketing history. In 2003, what we now know as a squeeze page was first created by Microsoft. A year later, 2004, Frank Kern popularized it, and these squeeze pages were just mechanisms that increased marketing funnel efficiency. But 10 years later, 2014, this brilliant Mormon out of Boise, Idaho, started a company focused on squeeze pages and landers. In the most genius fashion, tied the 2 words landing page and funnel together, and that was Russell Brunson, the founder of ClickFunnels. 10 years later, today, the word funnel in the online coaching and agency world almost always refers to your landing page. Let me see your funnel leads to pulling up your ClickFunnels, your GHL, your Webflow page with some kind of VSL or lead capture, but that landing page is not an actual funnel. And to the more mature marketers watching this, saying you run a call funnel or a Webby funnel is closer to true definition, but it's still missing the mark. See, per Google, a marketing funnel is simply a visual representation of the customer journey, outlining the stages a potential customer goes through from initial awareness to purchase and even loyalty. And the funnel almost always breaks down into a famous adage, AIDA. Reminds me of Boiler Room. AIDA. If you haven't seen that clip, we're not going to put it here for probably trademark reasons. Actually, I used to show this to all my sales teams for pretty much every team that I run. YouTube, Boiler Room, Coffees for Closers. AIDA, awareness, interest. I want to start saying what Baldwin starts saying. Awareness, interest, desire, action. AIDA, do I have your attention? And AIDA, at its core, is what every funnel accomplishes, but I've personally found a better way to simplify understanding the application of this, which is what I call the 3 C's. Create, convince, convert. Creating attention, top of funnel, which is your A, your awareness. Convincing that attention, your middle of funnel, which is your interest and desire. And then converting that attention, bottom of funnel, which is your action. At its core, this is the architecture of a true marketing funnel. To say your funnel is a landing page is to say your entire funnel is purely one mechanism inside of the conversion stage. To say you run a webinar funnel is to say that your funnel uses webinars for the conversion stage. To say that you drive it with organic versus paid is to show how you create attention. But every funnel, both ineffective and effective, do these 3 things: create attention, convince attention, convert attention. So if I had to guess, you probably think that you do all these 3 things, in which case I challenge you, then why is your business broken? If the best marketers in the world do these 3 things, and you do these 3 things, yet you see wildly different results, then what are you doing wrong? Let me show you. Section number 2 of this video is what you're misunderstanding. Like I said before, 3 sections, what you're misunderstanding and incorrectly applying into your business. I had to guess you're probably running one of 3 types of funnels. Number 1 is paid traffic to landing page with a VSL to a sales call / webinar, but it's almost always sales call. Number 2, shorts to DM convo, setter, or mini chat to possible landing page, but realistically just booking link, sales call. Or number 3, you're a referral-based business, in which case you already know how broken your process is. And we're going to focus on the first 2, but I will say, if you are a referral-based business and you're doing north of $25K per month, I'd love to see if you're a fit for my founder's incubator. It's called Daily 7. Just message me 7, SEVEN, on Instagram at Paul Daly. But assuming you're running one of the first 2, to make this simple, this is how both funnels theoretically meet the architecture of a funnel. The paid traffic would be the attention or the shorts, the VSL or the setter DMs or the mini chat flow is your convince, the sales call is the conversion. But that's not actually how it plays. How it actually plays out is that the paid traffic you're running or the shorts you're creating gather weak attention because they're non-search centric material, minus PPC or YouTube ads, which a majority of you guys are not running. What non-search centric material means is that these viewers or prospects are not actively looking or researching a solution to a recurrent problem. They're probably doom scrolling. They are from the beginning not in the headspace to have their beliefs changed. They then engage with a short and have a managed outflow fire or a setter reach out, or they click your ad and get sent to a lander. In whatever process, the goal is to always get them to book a call as soon as possible. And on the call, you try to break down what their problem is and you try to show them that your solution is viable. This is what you and 95% of other coaches do. Zoomed out to try to get you to understand how stupid this is. You get viewers in brain-rotten states to either engage with a short or an ad, and then you get them to book with you as soon as possible, where you try to explain everything about their problem and your solution to them in 30 to 45 minutes. It's a weak attempt at a funnel, and what I get to in a little bit is that it is lazy. But odds are that you're here and you're doing this. And if you're here, there are two solutions. There are two things you can do. There's option A and there's option B. Option A leads to success. Option B, the opposite. And yet you've probably taken option B without even knowing it, and that is engineering marginal efficiency into an inefficient system, which looks like creating in-depth systems to get your show rate from 50% to 55 or 60%, sales training programs that get you from 25% live call to close to 30 or 35% insane offers with some kind of contract stipulated guarantees to try to make them look like no-brainers. These are all attempts at making inefficient funnels efficient. But in reality, it's like maintaining an old car, pouring tens of thousands of dollars into it, rather than just buying a new car. The vehicle itself, i.e. your funnel, is broken. But option A, this is what I do, this is what my clients do, what every 8-figure coach does, it's the anti-funnel. And before we discuss how it works, let me really hone in on the 3 root reasons your funnel currently does not work. Number 1 is that in both my examples above, the paid and the shorts, the attention is gathered in non-research methodology, meaning your content, your ads are hitting them because they're researching, but likely not when they're researching. People don't search for educational content on Facebook or Instagram. This means that you are getting in front of people who are actively looking at solving a problem, but they have found a solution for it on a more research-driven platform like YouTube or LinkedIn, podcasts, blog posts, etc. And because they've consumed content, because they've researched, they've likely built trust with the businesses that put the content, the long-form educational expert-based content, on the platforms that people do research on. And now you, with your shorts or your ads, are trying to swoop in at the last second and steal the sale. And I know it sounds a little contrarian or aggressive, but that's really what you're doing. You're getting in front of people who the algorithm knows is currently trying to solve said problem, and the reason the algorithm knows that is because they're researching it, but they're researching it, they found solutions for it already, they found content to do research with, they've built trust, and now you're coming in at the very last second, you're trying to pay some money to Facebook, or you're trying to, create a little bit of a hook with a short, and you're using that to try to like swipe or no swiping from Dora the Explorer, steal the sale. But it doesn't work well because they don't trust you. They trust the businesses that showed them the problem/solution in the research phase. You didn't create the attention. And assuming this first point is correct, if you believe me on this first point, the byproduct of them researching and finding other companies' content and then trusting that company is that now they hold pre-positioned beliefs toward a certain problem that you still might be able to solve, but they hold pre-positioned beliefs toward that problem and toward that solution, which means that you have to dismantle and rebuild their belief architecture before they'd be willing to align with your solution and your product. And you might currently attempt to do this with a VSL that has like a 12% watch rate, but in reality, a majority of coaches, and I'm willing to bet you'll agree to doing this as well, try to shift beliefs on the sales call, which is not only where resistance is at an all-time high, but it also means that you're trying to convince during the conversion phase, which means you're muddling the funnel. Before I leave this point, it is possible to shift beliefs on a sales call, but why rely on doing that? Why shoot yourself in the foot before you run a marathon? Why make it harder than it has to be? Why take, and I'll get into this in a second, 30 weeks of work and try to cram it into 30 minutes? To answer my own question, it's because your time horizon is broken. You're trying to condense your buying window into 2 to 3 days. Mine is over 50. See, an 8-figure coach or agency with a $5,000 offer will have a 14 to 21 day buying window on average. 10 to 15K-ish offer, 30 to 45 days, again, buying window on average. But you're probably trying to squeeze your calendar booking window to 2 to 3 days to decrease the no-shows. And the booking link was probably sent to one yesterday or today, which means you're trying to get on a call with someone 2 to 3 days after they discover who you are. I call that PBS, premature booking syndrome, which we're creating a future video on as well. But because of PBS, you're trying to convince on call. You're muddling the funnel. What should have happened in the weeks of your buying window in the convince stage, you're now doing in the convert stage. It's like cramming 30 days of research and trust building into 30 minutes. It's broken, and like I said earlier, it's lazy. But again, you can always buy the new car. You don't have to maintain this old broken car. You can trash the old one, and you can switch to the anti-funnel. Which brings us to section 3, how to fix it being your business, how to install the anti-funnel. And before you think about doing this, let me tell you some negatives about the anti-funnel, because yes, there are genuine negatives. Number 1 is, like I mentioned, the buying window for this is longer. I have a 50-day plus buying window. That means that if you need cash tomorrow, this probably is not the funnel for you. This funnel also takes much longer to create. It's much more work to build. It's actually an immense amount of work to build. It's much less work to maintain, but it's way more to build. And the build process burns away most coaches. It's a lot. Trust me, guys, it is a lot to do this. And lastly, the funnel only works if you have genuine expertise in your field. If you don't, it's almost like putting a magnifying glass on your lack of expertise, And it won't just be ineffective, it'll probably be less effective than the funnel you're probably running right now, which is broken. But for the trade-offs, you do get positives, which number one would be a much more profitable business. Your business right now, I can almost guarantee you, is not nearly as profitable as you'd like because you're combating inefficiency with money. Diminishing returns on ads, those rising ad costs, the anti-funnel crushes that. The amount of sales reps you have to try to combat low show rates, this fixes that. The amount of customer success that you have to try to increase customer retention because your churn is naturally bad, this fixes it. You don't need nearly as much team. You're not spending nearly as much, if anything, on ads. And lastly, your tech stack's actually a lot lighter too. So whatever you're spending on the massive amounts of inefficiency, you don't have to worry about it anymore, and your business becomes more profitable. And then the secondary, which I actually think is the primary, is that the business becomes more enjoyable. This is genuinely, in the last 7 years now of being in this space, the most fun I've ever had running a business. And I'm earning more now than I ever have. Lifestyle and income don't have to fight each other like you may believe. This is something, side note, that I think a lot of people are getting into a misunderstanding of. You're really starting to see a chasm in the space where you either have these lifestyle businesses that make $20,000, $30,000 a month, or you have these massively ad-driven businesses trying to get to $1 million a month, but not really profiting anything, massive amounts of team. I think both of those are silly. In reality, it's like the porridge. One's too cold, one's too hot. Something just in the middle works. This is the only thing that I found that gives you high income potential, profit potential, but also something that still maintains an enjoyable lifestyle where you can choose to create, or you can choose also to live your life. This is how, think of other creators in the space that have businesses that you may follow. This is how they might be out of office for 2 or 3 months of the year, or work 2-3 hours a day, but still make massive amounts of money. It's this funnel. The question, of course, is how do you build what I have down as ant-funnel, the anti-funnel. Now you know it's not ChatGPT writing these. At the core, it's simple. You create a category inside of your industry and you lead it, what we call category leadership, using the 3 C's. Let's break each down. Creating attention, number one, in the anti-funnel, we don't run paid traffic to create attention. We use organic content marketing, more specifically long-form expert-based material. And it doesn't have to be on YouTube like I'm doing here. There are multiple mediums in which you can create this material, but it has to be long-form expert-based material. Let me say a few things. Number one is that obviously I just said we don't use paid traffic to create attention. For a lot of you guys, that is groundbreaking. How do you run a business that's not outbound or paid? Or do I just get lucky and go viral? That's not the case either. And I think the best way to say this, or set foundation to this, is that paid traffic throughout the history of the internet or television has always been a supplementary way of growing business. It wasn't until the last 5 years or so that it started to become the sole medium that people used for attention in business. But more specifically, the paid direct response traffic that every coach is running right now versus your paid kind of brand marketing is literally one of the least profitable ways to grow a business. And the only reason that people run paid as the sole medium to getting attention, by the way, is that the barrier of entry skill-wise to learning how to run paid is much less so than learning how to properly create niche viral content. It's a lot easier to learn how to start running Facebook ads than it is to start learning how to create educational yet niche viral content. There's a reason that these starter models, coaching, agency, etc., have more people running Facebook ads, because it's a lot easier to learn than the harder stuff like organic content. And that shows, side note, in how much more money you see made with organic content than paid ads. I'm not talking revenue, I'm talking profit. If you don't believe me on that, what you have to be able to believe me on is that the flywheel of organic marketing is positive. The more attention you get, the more it compounds and becomes a mass following, versus the opposite being true for paid. You get diminishing returns. As you spend more, everything starts to get more expensive. You have a negative flywheel over here with paid, you have a positive flywheel over here with organic, yet everyone, because of the ease of barrier of entry, the skill set being lower to get into paid, everyone chooses paid. We don't use paid in the anti-funnel to get attention. Number two is ads, like mentioned before, are non-research centric, meaning you're not normally getting in front of people when they're researching, but the long-form expert-based content that we use in the anti-funnel is found when researching a subject. When viewers are open to shifting beliefs and learning new methodology, this automatically from the very start puts you in a much better opportunity to build proper trust architecture versus trying to run an ad at the very end and steal people that are in someone else's trust architecture. And when done correctly, your long-form expert-based content actually delivers 2 C's: create and convince. You create attention with niche viral ideas, and you shift beliefs with contrarian viewpoints and mechanisms. And this is the exact opposite of a normal funnel where you're trying to convince and convert in a 30-minute sales call. Here in the anti-funnel, we're creating and convincing in the prospect's research phase when the resistance is low and beliefs are malleable. I want to stress the word resistance here. When you're on a sales call with someone, trying to get them to understand or believe in what you believe, there's natural resistance to that belief shift because they know that a price tag normally comes with it. But in the research phase with the anti-funnel, there's no resistance. There's actually almost a gravitational pull toward the want to shift beliefs. It's so much easier in the anti-funnel than the normal. And I have an author's note here that you have probably tried to create content before, but have done so incorrectly. And I don't want you to think that because you've done it incorrectly, it's not possible, or it's not possible with your vehicle or your mechanism or your industry. Most business owners don't know how to create organic, niche, viral content that's educational. And it's okay that you don't. It's a new skill set, and it's a much harder skill set than everything else you've learned in the marketing space of business. I can promise you that. Having done it myself now, I've run the ads, I've run the content. I promise you, content, way more difficult, but also way more profitable, way more enjoyable. Next is convincing attention. This is a majority of the buying window. I said earlier that my buying window for Daily 7, my founder's incubator, is 50 plus days. A majority of that time is spent inside of this phase, baking prospects in belief-shifting material almost as if baking a cake in the oven. Your long-form, expert-based content will do this naturally, but we support with email sequences, newsletters, secondary channels, and listed content. An example of this would be that you are currently possibly shifting beliefs toward what I believe in business by watching this video. If you go watch more of my videos, it's going to continue to happen. If you go try to find one of my lead magnets, then my email sequences will come to you. Daily Crumb newsletter once a week will come to you, and you're going to start to see that. You're going to start to be in a world of Paul Daly shifting your beliefs over and over and over through different mediums, and it takes a proportionate amount of time to the ticket that you're selling. Your short form content, and this is really cheeky, pay attention to this. In a normal funnel, your shorts are to create attention. In the anti-funnel, your shorts instead act as a tool to stay top of mind, meaning every time they see you, they're subtly reminded of the beliefs that you stand for. It's very different. It looks like the same thing, but it's not, so I'm going to explain this. When people see long form content or consume long form content that really has ideas in there that change their belief system toward the belief system that you have, when they see your shorts, they can now think of that long form content and the ideas exposed in that long form content inside of that short form content. So if you have someone consume an hour, 2, 3 hours of your content, and they understand the beliefs that you stand for, when they see a 30-second clip or a 20-second clip or even a tweet from you, now all of those beliefs are top of mind again in their brain from that 20 seconds. When you create shorts for the sake of creating attention, they're 20-second shorts. Whatever you can say in 20 seconds is what you get. But when you use them as tools to stay top of mind, now you're using them as a way of getting in front of people and reminding them of the massive amounts of ideas that you've shared with them on the long-form educational-based content. It's slow, subtle reprogramming, and this is incredibly methodical. And it's a large part of where I spend my time working with my D7 founders. Lastly, conversion, and this is likely where you spend a majority of your time, but it's where I spend the least of mine. I've recognized that conversion is simple. I just want my audience to know about my product. In my case, it's D7, my founder's incubator. I want them to know how to get started with it. For you, it'd be messaging me 7, the word 7, SEVEEN on Instagram, at Daily Wisdom, at Paul Daly, at pauldaly.business. It doesn't matter what Instagram, just message me 7 and we'll send you info on it. And from there, I want to make sure the friction to getting you onboarded is as close to zero as possible. I have no sales team. My COO and I take all the calls. There's no hard closing, and every prospect knows the price before the call. It's very simple, it's very little friction, and it's the byproduct of my efforts, the fruit of my labor in the create and convince functions of my funnel. Again, if you want to work with me more on this, or if you even just want to see how we do it, just message me 7 on Instagram at Paul Daly or any of my other channels, and we'll send you a full breakdown on how it works. But to show you how little the importance of conversion is, for some of my clients, there are sales calls with the founder. For some of them, it's sales calls with sales team. For some, it's just DM closes with setters. For some, it's webinars. I really don't have a preference on how we convert. So a lot of coaches in this space will say that you have to use X type of funnel, and it's going to be webinar or live event or workshops or sales call, whatever it is. In reality, those are just mechanisms that all can work really well. They all will only work, though, to the strength of the first 2 functions of the funnel, which are creating and convincing attention, which very few people can teach properly. But that's it. That is the anti-funnel. Nowhere in here do I tell you to send people to a lander. You genuinely don't even need one. No insane ad strategies, no fancy gimmick or tech. And if you know me, I'm a big tech stack guy. I've played with almost every software in the online coaching / agency world you can imagine. I was, again, the COO before I was the CEO for Iman. I love operations, but this anti-funnel is simple and it's elegant. And as Steve Jobs once said, simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication. I've ran the intense tech stacks, the large sales teams, the 100+ person teams. I've done it before. The paid ad driven companies, I've done it before. It felt messy, it felt stressful and chaotic, and I don't want you to live in that. I hope you took something from today's training. And again, if you want to learn more about what we do, is message me 7 on Instagram. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow. And as always, happy hunting.